Welcome to the round table for Campaign 3, Curse of the Clockwork City, our second round table. I am Brooke Bullock, joined by the amazing
Michael Cross,
Johnny Payne,
Kiri Esther,
Connor Shenold.
Woohoo! I'm so glad to see you guys. It's been like a hot minute since we've had a chance to hang around.
Over a month or something
I know.
like that. It's crazy.
I know, it was great. It was great. And we got gifts.
We did.
Woo!
Our BFF, Jason from SD Way Gaming, got us some dice.
Oh, so awesome.
Now, these dice from SD Way Gaming are amazing, and I love the font on them, and then they're perfect. Just the blue for Elias Stone is just awesome.
Yeah, it's radio, but we'll post some things on Patreon of that. So post some pictures on Patreon, and you guys can catch that. That'll be awesome.
Moxies are deadly weapons.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to see this picture, boys and girls.
They're very pointy. It's very cute. What did you call them, Michael? Oh, gobstoppers.
Yes, it looks like the D20 looks like an everlasting gobstopper.
I said that these are caltrops. These
are.
I say that soon you will be taking over for the Defensive Dark Arts class with all that pink that's going on over there.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. They are super pink. In fact, we'll get a picture. We'll get a nice little setup. We'll put it under the lights, and and Kiri can do her inner YouTube, Instagram fashion.
Hi guys, welcome to the unboxing.
Make sure to like and subscribe.
Because that whole setup is great. She's got a pink dice tray. She's got pink dice. It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So, Michael, do you like yours because they have like giant old man print on the front?
Oh, very much so. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I said it with love.
Everything. Large print dice are very important. By the time you get to my age, yes. Not only the actor, but the character.
If you started in first edition D&D, it's time for your large print dice.
What a great selling.
Not true. As I said to Connor before we started recording, just because it's true doesn't mean you have to say it and be hurtful.
If you know what Thaco is, it's time for
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, Johnny Payne.
Yeah.
I know you're like multitasking over there.
Yeah.
Boom. You want to talk about your dice for just a quick moment? What's beautiful because you smile like a Cheshire cat as you look at them.
So when people ask me what kind of dice do you like, I say I like the hard edge dice. So they roll enough and don't roll for miles. And I've already almost drawn blood on the D4.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. That's how you know it's if you're gonna get the pyramid shape. They're great. They're exact. I mean, the minute I saw these, I had a flashback to me standing there saying, "Oh, this, and this about my character," and he basically put my character in my hand in the form of dice.
Oh, that's amazing. SDA Gaming, right? And if on his website, you can reach out to him and ask a question, and he will he's almost like the old school haberdasher who will kind of measure and get you the perfect dice, right?
I bet if you even wanted to, you could say, hey, can I have a set of August dice? And you could probably get
the dice you made for August E. Graymore.
That's right.
Or Johnny Payne.
Definitely want these Moxie dice. Those things are phenomenal.
They, like Moxie, are very pretty, but also will cut you.
Yeah, they're very, very deadly as well. Well, and I love the kind of, since they're caltrops, the influence of Sable on your character.
Don't worry, Sable. I'm not going to get into too much trouble.
These dice were smooth with round edges, and then she met Sable.
And they all
Prickly and rough. And
He's a good influence.
If that's what you want to call it, sure.
like those sci-fi moments when the thing reshapes and it has spikes, right?
Yes.
But a gobstopper is a perfect way to describe the D20
remind me of a
for
gobstopper.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. A little Willy Wonka going on there.
We should probably talk about the show.
Sable hasn't talked. Connor hasn't talked about his dice yet.
That's right.
They're nice and blue, and they roll nice.
That is a deep.
Yeah, it's a really like he picked the perfect blue for how I was envisioning Sable. Also, like to point out, other than Moxie, everybody else going blue. Nice.
I did also bring Christmas presents. I got everybody pink sparkly pens.
Yeah.
They're
awesome. Fancy.
They're nice little clicky pins too, which, like I said, will drive my wife insane because she hates that.
And this is the moment where I remind you I am the only femme on the show. So all of these people with pink.
Yes.
Are the pencils you?
Yeah.
These pencils won't roll.
No,
they
they're
kinda-
triangle
Because they
pencils.
got that
Triangle-ish
little
pencils.
They have just enough of
Oh.
that edge on them.
The
they
pencils are
do.
the square pencils. They're made to improve your grip and to be more comfortable.
Michael's sharpening his pencil.
Oh,
I am
nice.
sharpening
A
this
real
pencil.
man
I
sharpens
need a
it with a
pencil
knife,
sharpener.
but he's using a plastic pencil sharpener. I
I'm
don't
trying to
know.
figure out how to use
He's
this
a
pencil.
journalist.
My wife says.
Well,
that
I
to
think
me.
it's
I'm like,
because these are they're not
triangle.
round. It might be a little bit more difficult to.
I always ask my wife because she draws and such, and I go, "Hey, can I borrow a pencil sharpener?" And she's like, "Yeah, give it to me." And like whips out a switchblade and just starts carving a point down my pencil.
Yeah.
No one who knows Amanda is surprised by the fact
That's
that
right.
she has a blade on her somewhere.
No one's. Yeah, I noticed it was quiet when I said this. Like, of course she does.
Yeah, of course she does.
She keeps the dagger in the handle of her sword
Of course.
because it's proper.
The proper way.
What was how we described
great.
the Sable's boss was that she would look prim and proper, except for she's got blades inside
Yeah,
of her corset.
blades there on the
daggers
side of
everywhere.
her corset or whatever, right? So,
I love her.
Sable's boss.
Calm yourself, Johnny.
I need some fan art of that.
Later.
Distill your heart.
you know the old cartoons where the wolf tongue like lobs out.
I'm not in it for the heart,
So-
Gary.
That.
This is a family podcast.
Yeah, I think.
So the show.
Onward, Christian
Thank
soldier.
goodness.
Tell us about the show.
Thank goodness some of the outtakes, all of the outtakes now, are on our Patreon feed, which means you can get something special every single week. But I will say, like, it is still a family show, and everything is family oriented for that. But some of those outtakes were kind of spicy a little bit.
they can get a little bit,
I'm
and yes,
surprised they made it to the final cut.
yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That we have made changes. If you have been listening to us for 5 years and wondering why are there no outtakes, well, that's because they're now on Patreon.
Yeah.
So if you get it, you get the full episode, and you get Patreon. You get the outtakes on Patreon. So any level gets that. So I was really glad to be able to do that. And yeah, I do allow for a little bit more spiciness, because although some of our patrons do have kids that
100%.
listen, so I don't have any cuss words or anything like that. But I mean, any kind of innuendo,
If it would fly in a Shrek movie, it's
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Exactly.
That's
If
fair.
it
And,
were flying a Shrek movie, yeah, especially Shrek 2.
Like, like a few years ago, I didn't do the cider commercials or anything like that we had. But,
Oh, you're talking about from Dickens Farm?
yes,
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
They're on that one is on Patreon. It's on Patreon.
Yeah.
but
back
it
there
has
in
a
the
warning
paywall.
level.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Warning
There's a
label.
warning
on it.
level.
There was a
They
warning
played it
label.
on public radio here in Oklahoma City. The cat, the cat would like run the commercials for it, and the DJs would just, Rick and Brad would just like drive it into
Yeah,
the
but
ground.
how long were they allowed to do that till censors finally went, you need to take that off?
For years.
Yeah. Then they weren't listening at the right time.
The censors were.
But it's also, the cat. I mean,
It's the cat.
cat.
I couldn't run it on NPR.
But
This
wow,
is morning edition.
That's right.
what
Sponsored
an
by
amazing
Dickens
few
Farms.
episodes we
Yeah,
had, right?
so where are we starting? Episode 1 or episode
Episode
5?
5.
Anything else about your blue dice?
Nope.
Okay, also, but I want to go on with talking about patrons.
Well,
yes.
Oh,
It
you
is
need to talk.
Gary,
Yes,
hold
you
on.
want to tell us about your dice.
No. Oh, thank you very much. We'll come back. We got more Patreon news in a minute.
Well, it just basically, we got more to deal with
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Tell us about your dice.
So I have. I'm not going to brag, but as the DM, I was gifted with 3 sets from SDY Gaming.
Oh, yeah.
Well, not
I got-
3
I got
sets.
2. That's why I was
not
wondering
3
if everyone
sets,
else
but I did get a giant
Oh.
D20, and if you've seen the video on YouTube of Aiden Cross rolling his giant D20, it's the one that's called "Oh My God, That Eye," right? And he rolls it, and then that whole eye just wobbles in there, right? Check that out on YouTube if you
Don't.
haven't. This one, same size as that D20, only it's got like innumerable little tiny eyes in it. And so when you roll it, all these little eyes move and roll and look at you.
They call me Legion,
thing.
for we are many.
That
It
is
is
awesome.
the creepiest thing, and I love it so much.
Oh,
You need to
wait,
keep that to
hold on.
yourself.
Did you notice?
Don't
Put
show
it
that
to your
to
ear,
me.
and it says.
No. Disgusting.
The eyes have it.
I hate the eye
Just
dice.
are Legion.
close your eyes, pass it over to Connor.
The eye dice give me the ick.
What other kind of dice did you get?
So that is awesome. And then I have some that are kind of a pink and orange and black swirl, and I thought, well, these kind of look like Moxie dice. I wonder why I got those. And then I opened them up, and they're kind of like made out of eraser material, sort of.
They're like rubber?
Yeah, it's a
and
rubber.
so when you roll them, I know, look at that. We need to take a video of that. Whenever you roll them, they like bounce.
Which is the opposite of what Johnny likes in dice. He just said.
The works great in a tower. So Brooke, I'm going to say...
Let's see if I can listen to it. Hold on. That's wrong. Dice should never sound like that.
Dice should clatter, right?
The color of your dice is the color of all of us here at the table.
Yes, I was thinking that too
Yeah.
when I saw the pink and the black and the blue and all that
He's
stuff.
a
Yes.
genius. The
Yeah.
man is a genius.
Here, Carrie, this one's not an eyeball.
Oh my
Wait,
gosh.
what? It's still saying
Oh my gosh, that is exactly right. That is so cool. And then the last set, which I mentioned earlier that Connor then made fun of me. The last set is a wonderful clear set that has like some different inlays inside of the dice. Like they're if you turn them, there's something down at the bottom, and when you look at it one way, it's just kind of a different colored blob, like blue or pink or red. But when you turn it over, it's an eye again. It doesn't move, right? But it's an eye, and again, it's got the different colors, blue and pink and
That's a
black
great cat's eye.
that are here. Yeah,
And the cat's eye comes up right when you do a 1.
of course it does. Oh, he did that for me.
Listen, and I'm okay with the eyes if they don't move. I don't like the jiggly ones.
And
Those are really
and
cool.
as a public service announcement, do not leave them out in the frigid cold,
Ding, 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 ding.
because
The
that's what
liquid
happened
core
with
stuff.
Aiden's is that that because of course when we learned that in science.
They're not made of antifreeze.
We took. Did you ever do that in science? You took the marbles.
No.
You take marbles and you put it in. You put them and you freeze them.
Yeah.
Like in like a refrigerator or whatever. Then you immediately throw them in hot water and they shatter. Really cool.
I too learned in science that liquid will freeze.
Well, but
I explored a pumpkin one.
Those were liquid filled, weren't they?
No, those were liquid filled,
yeah.
which is why they expanded. But also, but yes, severe cold or heat will also can also break.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people like break a glass pitcher where they pour up a fresh pot of tea and then put it in the fridge.
Yeah. You're never supposed to do that.
Yes,
So
100%. Yeah, we have another video about that too because it happened to Aiden.
Yes, exactly.
His dice start leaking.
Because he, like me, sometimes just leaves our game bag in our car for weeks on end.
There you go. 'Cause
Yep.
you
You
always
never
need
know
it.
when you'll
Right.
need
you never
it.
know when a D&D game is going to break out.
And then you forget.
You gotta
So
be ready.
and we've had some very, very cold days here in Oklahoma. So be aware, right?
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully no one had any injuries to their dice with that.
That's
but
right. Well,
I'm
a couple of
super
these
excited
below freezing.
because this last set, this clear set, when I rolled it fresh out of the bag, I got like a 20 and an 11 and an 8 and then a 5 and a 3 and then a 4 and then a 2. But
No ones yet. So.
yeah, no, not a 1 in the batch. So I was super excited about that because as we know from like our fishery encounter, Brooke couldn't roll or squat. Like nothing was happening at all in that. So.
All the bad guys were slipping in mashed potatoes.
There was a patron just the other day who on the Discord reached out about that and said, and it was something very simple like, oh, I get why mashed potatoes is classic. It was a simple one-liner or whatever, and I'm like, there we go. They're new patron that's looking at campaign. One.
Yeah, that's like episode like 4. Like how it's
I'm trying to know.
Yeah.
Which was fantastic.
Yeah.
What happened to Macaroni? He rolls a 1 and he falls in the mashed potatoes.
Shout out, by the way, to new patrons Rafson and Beans McCoy, and then of course Ben, who's been pretty active in our Discord.
Yeah, it's been very
So-
good. And our Discord's been really active. I've been really having a lot of fun with it. And of course, it's not just our show, but Mysteries of Beatrix
You bet.
and
We
the
Find
Rendered
Your Legends.
Outlaws. We've all been kind of putting stuff in, so it's been fantastic.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. Also, because we talked about the patrons that are getting our outtakes at the end of complete episodes that drop on our Patreon at patreon.com/reddirtdnd. But now they're starting to get our episodes 6 days early instead of 4 days early.
Why is that?
6 days early because I actually post these episodes on Friday. And so instead of just scheduling the Friday one for Patreon for Sunday morning, I just go ahead and make them live, and you can listen to it as soon as it is ready to go. 6 days early. I know 6 days does not a week make, but
Most of a week.
in most of a week, almost an entire week, because we're giving them the opportunity to name the episodes. In fact, since episode 6, all of our episodes have been named by patrons.
You bet.
So if you want the ability to, first off, get our episodes early, get the outtakes, get a chance to name the episodes, become a Patreon right now. Patreon.com/RedDirtDnD. That's all I wanted to say
Did they
about
get
that.
credit for that? Are we going to put that in this? We have. I know the answer to this, but do we put it in the show notes?
We do put it in the show
Yeah.
notes. So that way everyone knows that we have actually, because we have such great patrons, they are the true fans of the show. So if you are a true fan of the show and love what we're doing, become a Patreon member right now, because we love having you there. We get to talk to you. You become a family member when we go out to events. We love seeing you, so,
If memory serves, that's how Ben first found us, was at a Drinks and Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
And they're at the Blue Note, I think.
And that was also one of the other patrons.
Yes.
I'll remember it eventually. Yes.
There we go. Someone wonderful.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking
The
about.
couple.
Yeah.
Oh,
Are you talking about Mary Catherine?
Yeah,
Yeah, there you go. I was
What
like,
was that
two
again?
names.
Mary Catherine?
Mary
Mary
Catherine.
Catherine.
I don't remember Mr. Mary Catherine's name.
Travis.
Travis.
Mary Catherine and Travis. That's their actual Patreon name. But yes, we do find a lot of people that meet us at Drinks and Dragons,
Yep.
or SoonerCon or TokenCon. Those are all coming up this year.
There was a
It's
guy
gonna
that
be
came up to
crazy.
us, Michael, at a con, or maybe the thing we did, the Plaza District, and he had a bit of an accent, wasn't from here, and he's like, "Hey, I just moved here. I'm looking for a place to play." And I remember we pitched, where are you in the metro, and we told him Game HQ. And I walked in there one day, and he was sitting at a table that I knew the people. I used to live at Game HQ, and I knew the group he was playing with. And I was like, "Hey, all right." And I talked to him, and he just had this big grin on his face that he finally, found his spot. Every time I go to Game HQ on the weekend, he's in there playing a game, and I just think back to that day. He was like, "Yeah, I don't know anybody here. Where do I go to play?" And
yeah.
it's just neat. It's a good feeling that
That is the beauty of Game HQ.
we help that guy out.
Just show up and you can start playing.
You betcha. Yeah. Lots of great locations in the metro to do
Edmund
that.
Unplugged, yeah.
Yep, Edmund Unplugged, Kobold Lounge,
Yep.
and I know I'm forgetting probably some that
The
are really
Sanctuary
great.
Comics.
Oh, of
game
course, yeah.
Every
Do
Saturday.
you know
Comics.
Shawnee has like 4 game stores?
No.
2 of them are like across the street from each other.
Why?
Yeah, a buddy of mine I work with, he lives in Shawnee, and I saw an ad for one on Facebook. I'm like, "Hey, you got a game store?" He goes, "Dude, we got 4."
That's
That's
amazing.
really
yeah.
incredible.
He said they're all like just as good as the others. It's just, where do you feel like going today?
Yeah.
Kids, we paved the way for you.
That's right.
Good.
Yes.
I
yes.
remember,
Where there
as a kid not driving around, but like being driven somewhere, and you would see like a big sign that said D&D, and I'd get super excited and then say automotive.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? Because it just didn't exist.
No,
back in the
you
day.
could not get. There was no place. You could find them in some bookstores. Of course, that was also back when they had bookstores. But you could find that's where I think I saw my first Red Box was in like what was that, the one that was in the mall?
I'm total Walden Borders.
Walden Books or
Walden,
Borders,
Walden,
yeah. But yes, there were bookstores in malls that you could actually go to and
Books A Million used to
Books
be
A
in the
Million.
mall.
Back in
Yeah.
my day, we used to cut down trees and then read stuff off of them.
You guys will be pleased to hear this. I'm actually going to a midnight release party for a book next week.
Done that many times.
Nice.
Every Harry
They
Potter
kind
book.
of,
Yeah,
I
they
did
did
them
it with
for
the
Harry
Harry Potter
Potter.
book, too.
I
Wow.
hadn't had anything come out. There were books that were really popular, but they weren't doing like midnight releases. But I'm going, my local bookstore in my very, very, very small hometown is doing a midnight party, and I actually had missed their Facebook message about it, and I messaged the owner, because when you live in a town with literally 2,000 people, you know them. And so I messaged her, and I was like, "Hey, are you going to have any books left for me to pick up Tuesday afternoon after school?" And she was like, "Babe, just come to the party." And I was like, "It is on a school night."
yeah.
And she's like, "It'll be fine, it'll be fine." But yeah, so I'm going to go to a midnight release for Onyx Storm, which is the new Fourth Wing book that's coming out on Tuesday.
Awesome.
What's the store? Is it in Crescent?
I was trying to not say the name of my hometown. Everybody knows where I live. Michael.
I'm trying to help your bookstore.
But yeah, Paper Pages Bookstore in Crescent, Oklahoma is wonderful and beautiful, and Karen is the owner there, and she's fantastic.
Yeah.
And they've got a bunch of book clubs that they do.
Oh, that's the bookstore that's 2 blocks east of your house.
No, stop that.
123 Anywhere Street. Connor, anybody you'd like to dox while we're out there?
I think I'm good. I think we doxed Kiri enough. Can we get back to our D&D podcast that we
talk
do?
about Moxie and Sable and August and Dr. Stone.
First of all, I have to say, I have to.
I'm gonna get there eventually.
Totally
She's dying to do her
related.
recap.
So I have to say, do you guys never pay any attention to knowledge from your peers or your elders or anything? Don't you know you never split the party?
Yeah.
And then
You do it
this
multiple
guy
times.
over here not only do you split the party front door, back door, then this guy splits it again.
Yeah. Leaves me alone.
Hey, there's 4 of us. We can do a 4-way split.
Yeah.
That's right.
I was beginning
What
to
almost
wonder.
happened? It almost happened when you were like, I'm not sure if I'm going to help. And I was like, Moxie needs your help. Oh, fine.
But at that point in the story, I'm thinking, okay, they've split. Probably going to be okay because I know that we've got a good pairing of fighter and healer in the front room, and I know what they're probably going to encounter, right? And you guys going downstairs, I'm like, unless some things take like a left turn or whatever, you also are probably going to be okay, right? Because Boo is
Sable will be fine.
Yeah.
It's a matter
Well,
of how
you got
sneaky can
magic, and I
Moxie
mean
be.
that's the beauty of being a bard is you can find ways to. I mean, if you'd Sable had been there, you were getting bardic inspiration. There's a whole bunch
You got
of
a whole
ways
mansion
to-
you can hide in.
Yeah. And yes, had you guys found that secret door, and we'll get to that eventually.
You
though,
bet.
But if you had found that and gone on down the stairs, then there would have been a problem.
Yeah.
Because we would have had no way to communicate that.
But it was great that we did exactly what we needed to do in our groups. I loved it. I think it worked out perfectly.
I was nervous about it, and I don't mind in my home game folks kind of split a lot. So the juggling of that was not an issue from the DM management perspective. But I was just worried about everyone's safety. I'm like, well, I guess, it'd be a good record if, episode 5 and we have a new character, for somebody, which kind of sort of there was a thread of that because August went down.
August did go down.
know.
But the beauty of this new Spare the Dying
Yeah, that was
now
awesome.
being a ranged spell, because it used to be you had to get away to go touch that person.
Yes.
And that's difficult sometimes for, if you're within combat or you try and move away, you're going to get an opportunity attack. To be able to just spare the dying from 15 feet away, and eventually that actually levels up even more, certainly is a lifesaver.
Yeah.
Because it means he can just stay down, literally, until I can get to him. Spare the Dying is the best cantrip out there, I think, for a cleric.
Absolutely amazing. And everybody's dice at the table was so hot. I mean, they were just, well.
Moxie had some bad.
They were
Episode's one hot, but I was still cleaving
the
things
combat
in.
dice, I
Yeah,
shot.
I think they were at least equal to or better than the DM dice. So that's where it was. Because that one moment where you were with giggles and each of you kept swinging and missing, and I'm
just
over the
fanning
end
him.
going,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just fanning him.
Yes,
That's what that was.
Yeah. Jason actually of S2A Gaming, he actually said something to me in a chat, and I told, he said, "What dice are you using right now?" And I said, "Well,
Bad ones.
right now I just have my kind of my personal, that I've had for a long time, my white, speckled snow dice, and then I have the dice for Makrin and Zionsi." And those dice are PC dice. They loved you guys and hated me. They were not going to roll against their friends. The only dice I rolled above a 10, I think, was when I rolled a 16 for the kids to save and be quiet in the cart. Right?
Makrin would love Moxie. Makrin would be fascinated by her.
It's true. I mean, it'd be so great. And I think that not to chat off topic or whatever, but I think that Zionsi would totally fanboy over Sable, and Sable would just be like, "Oh my god."
Moxie understands the feeling. She also just wants Sable to be her best friend.
Yeah, I think Gideon would have a really serious problem with Sable.
Yeah.
Probably so.
And which is so funny because the last character you played was more of an idol with Gideon, and Gideon was totally loved Jaska, and to be playing something would be Gideon would be like, no, you can't do that. You have to tell Paladin.
I'm gonna do it anyway.
I was gonna keep some things very very elite and very special for our patron hangout that we had in January on the Discord, but it's just too good of a question to not share with everybody. Connor, Sable, at least here at this table, Sable is different than everybody else you've played. Like, because Jaska was the mom of the family.
Yeah.
And then of course, Connor with a K was just so much fun. And a kobold, but I don't never malicious.
No, like a little
Yes, it was.
mischievous,
Yeah.
but not like with bad intentions.
Very Dennis the Menace.
Kobold, very, very fey, very fairy, very, you were mischievous.
Yeah.
But never malevolent in any way.
Right.
And Sable
I tell you what.
tiptoes that line.
I think
Sable is a dark morally gray. Like
Yeah.
it's
I know it has to be done.
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And the dice just rock star tell a story. Like I can see as a DM where you almost in just these short episodes and like 3 combats really, Sable almost has like a trademark move of that rapier in the ribs and then follow up with a dagger across the throat or plunged into the back of the neck or.
Yeah, re-listening to episode, was it 6 or 7 there, you took out Boo in like one move. That was just, chef's kiss.
It was.
So,
Yeah, because like I
so
think
wonderful.
even before, because I had the sneak attack, sneak.
Yeah.
You snuck up on it.
Yeah, the surprise round. that's what it was.
Surprise round, sneak attack.
I had that round, and then I think even with on my actual turn for the follow up, you said that like even with my rapier attack followed up by the dagger, he still had only like 2 hit points.
Yeah, 1 hit point. I think,
And so
maybe
like,
yeah, just Ginsu knife. You're a ninja.
It
yeah,
was great. And yet, like we've seen this, this almost hitman, like this death machine from Sable. But the thing that I absolutely love, because I dislike what I'm going to say next so much, he's not murder hobo. Like, he's not killing everything just because. Like, I murder hobos are not my favorite, trope at all. And yet here we have Deadly Sable. But you're walking that line somehow. It's so great.
yeah. Like with Sable, it is such a fine line between him like actually wanting to murder everything, and then also like having to kind of rein that back in, because especially with the merchant fight,
Yes.
like way before we even hit the fishery, I took out the merchant. But in regards to the automaton, everybody else kind of seemed to be like, okay, well, its boss is kind of down. So Sable kind of took that into consideration, and instead of still trying to attack it, he kind of let himself fall into like, okay, like it's not doing anything, all right. And I think he even said to August, like, if you're gonna keep this thing alive, you're the one who gets to take care of it.
You're going to have to feed it and take it for walks.
Yeah,
I will claim responsibility. Go to the bar and wait for me.
yeah.
That's right. We'll have to see what happens because now there is a defunct, a disengaged, a injured,
We
to
need
the
a
point of being
hacker.
repair, right? We've got an automaton down in the fishery, Cog, and then the one that you guys have sent back to the Siren Song with the kids.
We got 3 more and we can make Voltron.
Don't get ahead of me.
Yeah, really. See, I was going to say about what I love about Sable is Sable thinks about the fact. See, murder hobo, they don't think about killing; they just kill.
Yeah.
Whereas Sable thinks about. I mean, there was that moment where you like the guy that we ended up finding in the basement.
Kogan.
Kogan.
Yeah.
Not Hulk Hogan. That's
Not
a different guy,
sorry.
brother.
Hulk Hogan. We used to Hulk Hogan.
There was nothing about that old man that was Hulk.
there was this moment of, okay, should I keep him alive? Should I not? And then when you realized who he was, it was like, the Sapphire Society sends their regards. I mean, there was thought. That is the difference between you and a murder hobo.
And I think a really good moment we see the dichotomy is where we are about to start, because at the very end of the last episode, Moxie's holding the kobold egg.
Yes.
Sable says, "Don't give it to them.
Yeah.
That's our only leverage." And Dr. Stone says, "We are no better than these people if we don't give them their egg back."
Right.
And so we're going to see how that plays out. No pressure, Kiri. It's fine.
Yeah.
I will say she does want Sable to be her best friend.
You make some very good points, but it's Sable.
Yeah.
You make some very good
Sable.
points, but it's Sable.
But then on the other side of that, not to try to take the conversation, but she was ready to just agree with Sable and be like, yeah, this is, and then Dr. Stone makes her remember, this isn't an object, this is a baby.
Yeah. Right.
And as that's Moxie's bit, right? So she's this kind of protector. I mean, her bar is currently a daycare center.
Or will be very, very soon.
Yes. Oh gosh.
So an after-school program at best. So she, yeah. We'll see what happens with that. We don't know what's going to happen with that, but that's something that we see at the very end, because we're still in this very early stages of this party coming together. And you can tell, that's part of the reason that splitting the party makes sense thematically, because we aren't, for lack of a better term, we aren't worried about each other. Does that make sense?
Yes.
If Dr.
Completely.
Stone died right now, Moxie would be like, oh, bummer.
Poor old man.
Dr. Stone, we hardly knew ye.
Yeah.
Literally.
And so it's this we're not as, whereas think of end of campaign 1, Poppy's not going to let Zonomus out of her sight in that final battle. Even though he would hate that and would say, I'm fine, you need to stay alive. Stop worrying about me. I'm stronger than you think I am. But that's the thing. We're very early on. I mean, we are the Avengers that Sable accidentally assembled, right? Totally on purpose.
I'm supposed to find these people just walking to a bar.
We are not a cohesive party at all.
Right.
And that's why the split was so natural. Because we traveled together, and that's gonna have an impact already. The two of you and I have already made a partnership, and the two of you obviously are partners. So it's like I think you had mentioned kind of I really wanted to go this way, and you really wanted to go. I'm like, well, then why don't we just?
Yeah, because and it works with kind of our function as class, kind of.
Yeah.
Right.
So obviously, big huge fighter isn't going to be able to stealth around the back, and is more capable of doing a front-on charge. Yeah. Whereas, and having the healer back him up on that is a really good plan, essentially. Yeah. And so you have the two, quote-unquote, more stealthier.
I like to say quote-unquote because Moxie is not... She needs to dump some points into dexterity for her stealth,
but even still, once they start a commotion, they're more going to be able to be a distraction, even if Moxie slips up, which we kind of did sort of see with Boo having almost gone into the back.
He did.
And then heard the commotion and went back, which gave Sable an opportunity to be like, okay, this is the guy that we're after.
And
let me just take him out.
And what I love about that as well is that's a gold star for Brooke moment, showing that splitting the party had, for lack of a better term, consequences.
100%.
So sometimes you'll do things in D&D and you don't see, even if there are things that it impacts, you don't necessarily see it, but showing us that guy opening the door and then hearing the commotion and going back, that showed us, hey, your plan worked. Good job, guys. You did a thing. Right. Which is really great.
And again, I was getting nervous because August is down after eviscerating the room. We have those last few, trading blows, swing and a miss type of thing going on with that. August goes down, and then here comes Boo at full hit points with only Elias up. And I was like, oh man, they're in big trouble. But Sable comes in, and I thought maybe we're going to have a 3-on-1 type of interaction there. And again, we talked about what happened with that.
And I was going to say that one of the things that I did notice is that I think that August and I were able to take care of the rats, and we might have been, if there had been 4 of us, that actually might have been overkill in that room. So yes, had Boo walked in, we would have had a problem. But the fact that Sable was easily able to just come in, snicker snack, and then get out of there.
Yeah, and I love the fact that he leaves. Like, you don't stay there and like let them come in and reconnect with that side of the party. No. You're just like,
okay, well, they're doing their thing over here, and I just
Sable
opened the door for them.
I imagine that's what, like, he, Boo falls, and he goes, oh yeah, Moxie. I left her alone. She's gonna get herself into trouble.
It sounds like a pink tiefling.
It sounds like a pink tiefling. That is the cry of the pink tiefling.
Woohoo, woohoo.
And lo and behold, she did get herself in trouble.
I did. Because I found myself in melee range with a velociraptor with nothing but a dagger to my name.
I wanted my dice so much. I wanted so much for him just to clomp you right on the shoulder or the neck, and he just missed.
Here's a question for you, Brooke. This is, because when we recorded those episodes, we had done combat. Moxie and Sable had done combat against those 2 brutes to save Deacon Elisa. Okay, they had done combat against a handful of kobolds, but we obviously all 4 hadn't been together in any kind of combat. So when you're thinking about balance, obviously you don't know we're going to split the party.
Right.
But but that's like, it's really interesting trying to balance characters who are absolutely deadly, like Sable and August, who can take things out in a single round, versus Moxie and Elias, who are just kind of like picking at them over time. So then if the party had split differently, obviously, if we had not gone like, I'm going to call them deadlies and squishies. I
think it's a good one.
If we had gone deadly, squishy, we would have been in a lot of trouble.
Could have been.
Well, we would have been in a lot of trouble.
August and I would have been fine.
Buying drinks.
We do end up that way. Now that I'm thinking, because when we first go down into the basement, it's squishy.
Yeah.
And the deadlies are stuck upstairs.
Doing acrobatics.
Yeah.
Doing acrobatics.
To quote a great player I know, Johnny Payne, death is part of the book, right? I mean, that's
you paid $60 for that book. You might as well use it all.
Exactly. And back to what Kiri said is that also there are definitely consequences. Like as we get ready for the next episode and the end, whatever form it takes, of the negotiations. / dialogue with the kobolds.
The useless kobolds.
Right? So you say.
But anyway,
however that plays out, there's going to be a consequence. Like the choices you guys make will have a consequence. They 100% will. And I'm not saying you can make either one, and that's the thing, is like you can make either one you want to, right? You can do that. It's okay.
No pressure, Kiri, but this is
it's just a fork in the road of choice, right? And it's gonna tilt things, one way or the other that we may not know until later.
And keep this in mind too, Kiri. Before our last recording session, Brooke said, this is a deep cut behind the scenes for everyone at home. Said, hey, we might level out by the end of this thing. So for those of you who survive today's session will probably level, I think is how you said it.
Yeah.
And you weren't being snarky or anything. It was like, heads up, gang. Those of you who survive may level.
And it's a good reminder that we went into this knowing that the tone was going to be a darker, what's the word that I want? Not as intrigue. More like political intrigue, for lack of a better term. That words have consequences and will reflect how you're viewed. Especially for those of us who are already established in the city. Especially for those of us who are business owners.
Right. Yeah,
it does.
Sure.
Also, it's the situation where we have a static setting, whereas before, in either
we were moving.
campaign 1 or campaign 2,
always moving.
If if something happened, we just move on to the next thing. It's,
Literally, campaign 1, when we stood still for more than a few episodes, Connor was like, "Okay, get it together. Let's get out of here."
And we're walking, and we're walking.
That's because that was the tone of that
campaign. But that was also
exploring,
campaign 2.
Yeah.
That we were constantly moving,
Yeah.
constantly going to the next place, mainly because we had different DMs.
Except for the one time we worked for 1 week at a children's camp.
Or the one night that lasted for was it 2.5 months? Was that how long we ran
Yeah,
that
it was
thing?
like 3 recording sessions.
Yeah, one night. Which of course, again, I explained that with like comic books. That's why comic books seems like the people in them don't age any at all.
Yeah.
Because one night lasts for an entire
For 6
year
months,
worth
yeah.
of
100%.
Yeah. So, but yes, it was wonderful that we were constantly moving. And even then, though, once we had done what we did in campaign 2, like staying for a week at some place or one night at, we moved on to the next thing. That was the whole point, was to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
This is a static setting.
Right.
So everything we do is going to impact the next thing that we do.
100%. And I totally am a player's DM. Like whenever, Sable kills Boo and he doesn't, I don't even get to roll dice with the guy except
Boo doesn't
for
even get a
initiative,
turn.
Right? He doesn't even get a turn. Like on the inside, yes, I'm like, oh man, he had a big giant great club, he's gonna swing it, But on the outside, and also in transition with that, I'm like, that was freaking awesome, fantastic. Like I love to see, I want the heroes to be heroes.
But I imagine, like, you see Dr. Stone and Moxie walking down the stairs, leaving them behind. You're like, guys, I don't know. Because you do, Michael, there's a couple times where Michael starts to talk to maybe to, like, okay, we're going to do this thing. And you keep, I don't want to say interrupting him, but kind of interrupting him to continue your description of the room to make sure it sounds ominous and scary enough.
I want to come back to that in just a quick second, too. But about, if you survive, because I knew that Kogan had those, those pulley trap things. He's an old man.
He's Kevin from Home Alone.
Mm-hmm. Maybe so, yeah. Like evil
Yeah,
ancient
Kevin, all grown
right?
up. And
You don't even have to
Never
put
learned new
evil in
tricks.
front of Kevin. Kevin was already
Kevin
pretty
is a
evil.
problem.
Yes, I don't know how that's a Christmas movie. He
He's
is
a little,
he is
like,
a
listen,
horrible,
it's just
horrible.
set
man.
during
His
Christmas.
family is a jerk to him, but he is also a jerk to his family.
Yeah.
They all need counseling.
Oh yeah.
I saw an interview recently with his mother, and she was like, there was that line that I just didn't want to say, and it was when, like, what would you do if you woke up in the morning and all of us were gone? And he said something like, maybe you should be. And she's like, well, then maybe we will, or something like.
Oh, Catherine O'Hara?
Yeah.
And she thought
She
it
was
too
like,
harsh.
as soon as like the director yells cut, I'm just grabbing that child and hugging him. It was like, she was like, it was so hard to,
Catherine O'Hara is wonderful.
She is fabulous.
Fantastic
America's
stuff.
treasure.
Yes. She is incredible in Beetlejuice.
But yeah, going into that, like, quote unquote final fight was pretty interesting because again the squishies went forward.
Moxie, are you sure? We'll be fine.
There you go.
I don't want to let this moment slip past.
Well,
so I'm just gonna go
I was
ahead
really
with it.
hoping that there would be a way to get you in through that. Otherwise, I was thinking we'll all just go down at the same time. But I was thinking it'd be really cool if I could find a way to get you in through that thing.
Switch. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like it was an option, but then also I think the outtakes said it best. Here's my friend, and then your friend doesn't show up. He shows up from a different side of the room, which is even more surprising than just him appearing from where you said he was gonna. But I think going into that, it was really important that Moxie got a certain something from Sable.
Oh yeah, my health potion, because I was almost dead after fighting the first Velociraptor,
Yes.
and everybody's investigating the downstairs room, and I'm just like breathing heavily, leaning on some barrels.
like you said earlier, no, we don't care about each other right now.
Except Sable cares about me.
It really is. I mean,
That's that pairing.
It's a pairing again. I love the fact that whereas totally different from campaign 1 where none of us knew any of us.
Right.
And then there was we did kind of have a grouping before we all met, but it didn't take us long to gel.
I mean, yeah, Blackjack and Zianci had their thing, but Blackjack was so gregarious and friendly and wanted to make friends with everybody that it kind of put everybody in the group pretty quickly. Now, that being said, in campaign 2, when we don't break off from each other very frequently, but when we do, it is so like Billy and Ziance literally hadn't had a one-on-one conversation until we're working together at the carnival.
Yeah.
Like we hadn't had that pairing done before.
Yeah. And we really tried to make sure that everybody kind of paired off in different ways. But yeah, it was so surprising that you guys got to work and like, we've never worked together. How have we been together for almost 2 years?
Not even have we had never worked together. We had never had a conversation just Billy and Ziance on tape, at least. I mean, I imagine at some point in time outside of things, maybe we said, "Hey, what's for breakfast?" But like we
off camera, I'm sure there was.
Right, we hadn't had like just us conversation. There was always another person also there, and so. It'll be interesting to see how.
Didn't we find out that they were the perfect pairing?
We
and what
were
the heck did we wait so long for?
We were the ones that were talking about Foberon. We were getting intel from.
It was some of the best stuff. I'm like, why did we wait so long for this Laurel and Hardy moment?
And because we were both kind of like, I mean, Campaign 2 was silly in general. But Ziance's naivete, his Amelia Bedelia style, literal, taking everything quite literally, and then I'm just funny.
Well, you're also just so out of this world. Billy was so not grounded in whatever was going on.
I recently did a play with some people I had never met before. It was like a random grouping online for a different project that I was working on, and the DM had like one-on-ones with us afterwards, talk about our gameplay style and stuff like that. And he said, "You are the most chaotic player I have ever played with in my life." And I went away from that, and I think Johnny and I talked about this because I said, "Am I really that chaotic on it when I'm playing?" Because I don't feel chaotic, but in that because of the story that we were playing in that game, it felt very chaotic. And then I remembered that my D&D inspiration, the D&D player I aspire to be one day, is indeed the one and the only. Very chaotic Emily Axford, who is chaos. And so Billy was very, and when I say chaos, I don't mean alignment chart. I mean just unpredictable.
Right.
Yeah.
So Billy was very unpredictable in a lot of ways. You never knew what he was going to say. I just need a different prescription glasses.
Yeah.
And like, you don't know what glasses are, but you know the word prescription. This makes no sense.
But I never got that feeling from Poppy, so I wouldn't say that it fits your character. Whatever your character is, you are quite. And I don't think I'm going to get that from. We're going to get that from Moxie.
And I don't think it's just necessarily the character. I think it's also the tone of the campaign that you're in.
You were allowed to be. It was Fae. It was
silly.
furries. We were supposed to be chaotic.
And I think in this one, us as players, we're cracking jokes at the table and stuff like that too. But we are a lot more serious, I will say, except for this relationship between August and Moxie is very bantery. It's, I heard you needed a one-man army, or I heard you called for an army, and I said, "Oh, you were my one-man army." Like, it's very teasing, which is pretty funny. And as you would, like, the person that you only work with a few days a year, you might have, like, some jokes between you.
But it was very bartender patron.
Right. I was about to say, the way I play it is we're bar regulars.
Right.
And so when we're not in the bar doing bar things, that's still how we kind of talk to each other.
And it's just a really interesting way that, like, sometimes us as players are consciously thinking about how would I know this player and interact with that player, and sometimes it's just on vibes.
Right.
Yeah.
And the vibes are something that are established by the other players' characters and the vibe of the campaign, which is established by Brooks.
What I like that I feel is happening in this campaign, Michael kind of touched on this a moment ago. I feel like we're not doing the thing, and this is no offense to anybody that does it, it's just quick and easy, but we're not doing the thing where it's like, oh, well, my character better get along with your character because you and I are playing the same game together. So the minute I meet you, I instantly deeply care about you and will sacrifice the world to give you a hit point.
Yeah.
And now it's not. It's right. We're pairing off. You know? Yeah.
As we would
I know you can handle yourself because I've seen you at work, Carrie. And I don't know much about Dr. Stone, but I liked what happened when we rode in together. And it's
you find the
more
connection without it
organic.
being an automatic. Well, we're playing a game together, and of course now I think that's also our style because
Right.
with that really campaign 1 and 2.
We did that
There-
with Gaz too.
Yeah, well, Gaz, and also I think there was still for a while.
Or even
Gideon and Zonimus, there was still
Tension.
that friction a lot. So it made sense that we were not always, but then and when we did pair off, it's usually Blackjack and Zionsi. You know, there was reasons for why we paired off.
And there's still a little bit of a tension between August and Sable, right? Just a little bit because, you know, August is of the city guard. I mean, probably in his heart,
Yeah.
still is.
Yeah.
it would be definitely one of those like unspoken, like, you know what I mean?
I think it's the feeling that you probably need to work with him, but you're not necessarily.
I don't know. It can
Thrilled
also
about
lead
it.
to thing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
that whole,
Yeah.
hey, you want to go bust this guy for that dime
Right.
bag?
Well, and
I want to wait till I can get to the bigger guy. Kind of thing.
Yeah,
Is
and
how the perspective.
I think that's the idea also between August and Moxie. You're a bar regular. She's the bartender. Outside, you guys, if you were to go to a restaurant or whatever, go eat or go, see a movie or whatever, you're not going to take Moxie. That's not the kind of relationship you have. It's bar and patron.
At least not
It's
without dinner first.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I'm the stranger to everybody, so it's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's
Because
great.
we talked about Dr. Stone and the Townies.
That's right. Oh, yeah.
And that serves us very, very well
Yeah.
for you to be the outsider because it can give me a chance or us a chance to be like, oh, let's explain
You
this thing
always
about
need-
town.
You are Dr. Watson.
Yeah, I'm the fish out of water.
Yeah.
I am the Doctor Who's companion that they have to always explain things to
Yeah.
because
Right.
Yeah.
You need a soundboard character.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
it's for the voice of the audience.
Voice of the
That's
audience,
what the
yeah.
complaints are
And
there
likewise, there'll be some things maybe that are from outside of Ironspire that our townies may not know much about, but Dr. Stone is going to be like,
fill it,
wait,
yes.
you guys have never heard of yada yada?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so that'll work out really, really well too. Something retroactive that in listening back, I think it's episode 8. But listening back something retroactively, August, we have that whole situation where, you know, the crossbows get fired by pulling the pulleys, and the pit trap opens on
Moxie gets her butt handed to her
on
again.
Moxie,
Yes, I
right?
remember.
You
I was
know,
there.
that-
I got shot, and then
Yeah.
I got dumped into the sea.
100%, right?
yeah, but then
know?
you total heroed out of that.
Yeah,
that was
just, and they're like, oh my gosh, yes. I thought, and again, that's where I thought, tangent before I circle back around, that's where I thought character death could really happen. Because I had, I think it was Connor, I said, who wants to roll for fate? And Connor rolls a D4, and it was a 3. The shark shows up in 3 rounds.
Yeah.
If the shark had shown up in 1 round,
Moxie would have been in the water.
Moxie would have been in the water. And man, you talk about play the John Williams scary music, right? Because it can
Well,
get bad.
And I know you're on to tangent off your tangent, and I promise
Go.
we'll let you get back in.
No.
But what we see happen with Moxie here, and you and I, Brooke and I, have had some conversations about some things that are going to happen with Moxie moving forward, and as we get into levels where she can start making, like, you know, college of decisions and stuff like that. And it's going to reflect the fact that she absolutely got her tuchus handed to her in this fight. She almost died twice. She goes down. She gets taken out by a raptor almost, and then she gets healed. Then she gets taken out by a crossbow bolt, dumped in the water, another raptor bite. And so she's gonna think to herself, if I'm gonna keep hanging out with Sable, I better find a better way to defend myself. At least
Yeah.
when things get close to me, because
take something more than a knife.
because unless she's, you know, able to take a step back, she can't. That spell that I do,
Yeah, that's right.
Firebolt, yes.
firebolt. She
There we
can't
go.
firebolt them.
And again, way leading on to way, but coming back around, again, we'll have to see, are there consequences? Does anyone find out what's going on? You know, Sable does have that affinity a little bit with Moxie for whatever reason, and does, quote unquote, break the rule given to him by Minthra, only use this for yourself.
Yeah.
But on the other side of that, Moxie is the one that figured out the code in the upstairs thing.
Yeah.
And so I think if Sable wanted to bring that into the conversation, maybe that would sweeten her up to me. Moxie's the one that figured out this noble families are in on this kind of a thing. I'm just saying.
But she did say if you have to get Moxie to be part of the team, then fine. But you know, so I don't think she's thrilled about you. But she also understands
that Moxie woman.
But I think that Minthra also understands that you've got to have a team. And really, right now, this is, regardless of how we work together and how we was a good team to put together.
Yeah.
You've got a healer, you've got muscle, you've got a bard.
You're also there.
Well,
I'm just here.
That's what, to join
Yeah.
you, to join the rogue. So, and the beauty of the bard is the fact that they can either be a cleric bard, a rogue bard, or a magic user bard. And I think that your specialty would be going more magic user type.
We'll have to see what happens in level 3.
There you go. Yeah.
We're supposed to level up when we do the
100%. Yeah. It's very, very close. Doing a combo, doing a little bit of a combo mix of some EXP points. I'm kind of tracking those, but then also we'll have some milestone elements that happen too. And right now you guys are killing it on EXP. Like, no pun intended. But so
You're welcome, guys.
You would have let that shark show up so we could have killed the shark. I'm just saying. We
fed the shark. That doesn't count.
Yes.
What did we feed the shark?
Kogain.
Was it Kogan? Or did we feed him the automaton? We didn't.
No, he thought about it, but then he said, "Was the shark going to eat the wood?"
We might be able to keep him. Maybe he'll be on
Add
our
him
side.
to our collection.
That's right.
Stop collecting automatons.
They're trying to make the super Power Ranger.
Yeah.
It's Voltron. All right.
So two quick little things that, like I said, I was off on a tangent on to come back around to. One of those, is there are these moments where you can see August and Sable are probably going to get along okay, because August seems to have no problem with grabbing Kogan's body and just dumping it down there for the shark, right? Like, it's what he deserves.
And neither does Elias, really. I mean, that's not.
Moxie was only worried about the magic coat.
There we go.
Yeah, well, once you need to make sure to loot the body, but really for Dr. Stone, he's like, that's just an empty shell. I don't care what you do with the body.
Yeah. True point. Any thoughts, like, was it justice has been served, or he was so low ranking, or he's just despicable, we don't even want to put him back into... I mean, he was dead, but...
Yes. So, August is, like, tired of it. And so he's become a man of action. But at the same time, and he's probably going to let this out in story also, is we need to be careful because we're not out in the wild where where people can't see us and people don't know what we're doing.
Right.
We'll have to answer to where is this person? Where were you last night? How come there's blood on your shoes?
Right. Mm-hmm. It's a lot easier to be a murder hobo in a dungeon than it is.
There's a dead body across the street wrapped in a tarp from the fishery, right? That's still sitting there. Now it's only been...
Oh, I had totally forgotten about that.
The merchant that you guys weekend at Bernied.
He's also wondering if what he's, if that's right or wrong, because before it was like, well, I'm told to do this and take it to this level, so that's what I'm going to do. And now he's of his own volition.
Yes.
And so it's like he's still trying to kind of find his bearing as far as that goes.
Yeah, without a quote-unquote commanding officer, a sergeant saying, do this, do that. Yeah.
We'll have to see, because August really also kind of, it's a funny bit in the episode, but I will say there's a bit of an undercurrent of a struggle, because he knows that these kobolds are bad. These are the kobolds that tried to kidnap the kids on the way in. Mm-hmm. These are the kobolds that didn't help us until the very end. These are the kobolds that aren't, great beings, great creatures, morally fantastic. That's not them. And he turns on them, which was kind of an original plan. Like, Moxie was totally fine turning on these kobolds. She just didn't want to fight the guy and the kobolds at the same time. But then the kobolds are like saying, hey, we'll help you get the kids back.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's this bit of like, August very clearly doesn't trust them and what they have to say, but does want to, he doesn't want to leave them alive to do more crime, but also wants to get the children back, but doesn't know if they're lying to him about the kids in the first place. And there's also 3 people who he doesn't know very well looking at him, and it's... As I'm sure there's a lot going on in August's head all at the same time about all of those things.
Yeah.
The last thing that I love about August is, now circling back to that thing I said that I really just came alive for me in listening to episode 7 or 8, was that the player thing to do is to kind of, hack and slash or defeat the bad guys and save the kid when you get a chance. But August doesn't do that. And it was fantastic to see that motive. And then in listening to it, it just really brought it home. He does this heroic leap across the pit, grabbing the rope, the cable, slamming his halberd into the wood flooring so that he can then pull itself across. That's freaking heroic superstar to save the kid, right? Yeah. With that.
He came here to save children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's worth a Gear of Fate
retroactively.
retroactively.
Look at me, Johnny Payne.
And I
back the other way, down below. It's like the
They're
Maverick
throwing
dice.
things
the
We'll get
dice
it
in
in
the
a
first.
minute.
It's gone.
Yeah, that's and actually I didn't even realize it till I was listening again or as I was editing, was that they would put them back with the arm out.
Yes.
And the idea is the shark just chomps off the arm.
Just chomps off an
and
arm.
that's how they then sell the kids after which is horrible.
dun.
Because that's
It's
what the
absolutely-
kobolds are saying, that they're injured.
Absolutely
It's horrible.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
kind of dark.
I had no problem with you killing it. Is what I'm saying.
Kind of dark.
Yeah.
Gears of Fate. I want to make a little tweak with those. Originally, when we introduced them, they're very similar to kind of like Fate chips from Campaign 1 or whatever, where you can, turn 5 in for a nat 20 and those like that. But tweaking them just a little bit. Instead of giving you advantage, I want to make them, and we'll find out if they're too powerful, but I want to make them a re-roll. A complete and total re-roll. So if you roll a dice and it's, a 1 or whatever, and you want to play a Gear of Fate to change fate, right? Then you can do that. So
Okay.
that'll
So
be your
but
plan.
so if it's a re-roll, if you have advantage,
Would you re-roll both?
would you re-roll
Yeah.
both?
I
The
think-
roll is redone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the roll is redone.
You're turning back time 10 seconds.
Yeah.
You are like a gear turning back time.
Excellent.
Right? For those seconds. So I think that Elias has one and August has one now.
Yeah,
So
as soon as we do that. All right.
We gotta
Not
get
good
our-
enough.
We got to get ours together, Connor.
Me taking out Boo in one round wasn't
We have to do
qualifying
stuff. We have
enough.
to do like cool stuff for the story. It's story stuff that Brooke wants.
No, it's awesome. It was, yeah. Sable's,
Sable gave Moxie the healing potion. I'm just
Pretty
saying.
good. It's pretty good. Man, I've had a great conversation. It's time already.
Yeah.
Man, so I can't thank you guys enough out there for listening to us. Tell your friends about us. Post about it on social media. Go visit some of our sponsors. Pro Laser Cuts. That's laser and cuts with a Z.
Pro Laser Cuts.
And of course, SDOA Gaming. And we will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.